My three favorite interview questions. You know, you can read all the how-to interview books and articles you want, but my three favorite interview questions are ones I made up more than 20 years ago that I've never seen written anywhere and I've never been coached to use. And if by chance they are written somewhere, well, I promise you I've not seen them, though truthfully, it would shock me if no one else has ever thought of them. They stem from my ever-growing frustration over the pitiful lack of new learning that goes on in this world. Seems the vast majority of two-legged, upright Homo sapiens, people, are quite content with whatever level of knowledge they acquired from their last class in college or high school and haven't attended a workshop or seminar, cracked a self-help book, peeled the shrink wrap off a learning CD, or downloaded any educational materials since their final school bell rang way back when. And it drives me nuts. I have no empirical data on what percent of people willingly and routinely self-engage in new learning tools after leaving school, although data likely exists somewhere, but I'm certain it's a discouragingly small number. It has to be. The visible evidence surrounds us daily. Just look at the staggeringly high number of people who have lousy people skills, no leadership ability, weak managerial skills, no business acumen, little common sense, an inability to negotiate effectively, no drive, determination, or tenacity, little self-esteem or confidence, don't communicate well, can't manage their own money, and are taking no action to acquire the skills or obtain the knowledge on these topics that could turn their life around and improve their job status. When lo and behold, it's all immediately available to them from a vast range of sources in multiple learning media formats compiled by experts with hands-on experience at very reasonable costs. In other words, it's plentiful in supply, easy to get, cheap to buy. And yet they don't seek it out, won't buy it, or choose not to use it. Instead, countless numbers of low-achieving drones spend inordinate amounts of time thumbing video games, endlessly texting friends, drinking at bars. Well, you get my point. From all this visible data, well, you'd have to reach the same conclusion I have, that the majority of the world inhabitants have some knowledge gained through formal school education, but once school gets out, mindlessly transition into stagnancy with no additional learning. With each passing day, they gain in age but remain static in brain power and initiative, treading water. And sooner or later, whether at age 18 or 23 or 41 or 56 or older, ding dong, they show up in a business suit at your company's door looking for a job. Some of them interview like a champ and they mask their ignorance well and they get the job. And then suddenly their lifelong lack of self-initiative for new learning becomes your new performance problem. Congratulations. So I got fed up, sick to death of it, and I did something about it. In the late 1980s, I overhauled my entire interview style, format, and questions to flesh out who is and who isn't a self-starter and lifelong learner. It's too long to tell all of it here, but I do want to share three killer interview questions that can help you avoid this epidemic problem. As company president and the final authority and chief steward for making sure that we only invite high-flying eagles into our nest, I started asking job candidates this question. Tell me the names of your 5 favorite self-improvement authors. Yeah, you guessed it. I wanted to know if a candidate freely engaged on her own nickel, in her own time, in ongoing repetitive self-education. Frankly, I didn't give a horse's hind end if the authors they named wrote books on stamp collecting, paper training puppies, or building model trains in your basement, as long as they could name 5. I just wanted tangible proof they were constant seekers of new learning. I figured 5 was enough, that if they could name 5, they probably knew a lot more. Sure, I admit I was most impressed if, and was hoping their choices revolved around, learning that was applicable in the workplace. But I would accept it if not, because the habitual behavior was there. The result of asking this question was downright frightening, mind-boggling actually. Even today I shudder remembering the early days of asking and seeing the blank stares, the glazed eyes, and the speechless mouths. Stutter, stammer, I stumped them. After enough rejections, I realized most people had never before put the two words self and improvement together in the same sentence, let alone next to each other. To be fair, I did get several people who rattled off names like Napoleon Hill, Dennis Waitley, Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Stephen Covey, Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, Earl Nightingale, Ken Blanchard, Deepak Chopra, Roger Dawson, Paul Meyer, and more. Not many, but some. These were the people I was looking for, the cream. But then I realized the flaw in my own question. Even of those who do read, few actually apply. So I needed to go deeper. I expanded my favorite one question to 3 questions. And in addition, I changed the first question, expanding it beyond just authors. So here are my favorite 3 interview questions in the sequence they are asked, and you might consider using them yourself. Number 1, tell me the names of 5 people in your life from whom you learned the most valuable life lessons. Allow them to answer, and then ask question number 2. Tell me one life lesson you learned from each one, 5 in total. Allow them to answer, then ask question 3. Please give me one recent example, 5 in total, demonstrating your use or application of each of the 5 lessons. Then sit back, shut up, and watch them squirm. And now I'll reveal my ultimate secret. Their answer to that question, the last one, is the only answer that matters. Ignore the first 2. Why? Because the first answer shows only that they listened. The second demonstrates only that they remembered. But the third, it shows they applied. And that pattern of behavior, applying what's learned, is worth gold to you as a leader. By the way, as you may have surmised, if you get no answer to question number 1, nix the next 2. They become pointless. Likewise, if you get no answer to question number 2, nix the last one. Again, pointless. Would you be surprised to learn that I actually terminated interviews if they had no answer? It's true. I mean, think about it. Why would I want someone whose work would directly or indirectly impact our valuable clients who has to be told to learn? I didn't. I wanted people for whom taking the initiative to learn was already an integral part of their everyday behavior, even if outside the workplace, at their own expense, with no nudging, prodding, begging, or forcing. It was already who they were. Isn't that what you want too? A pre-established pattern of self-learning? Well then, stop settling for mediocre. Why not give these 3 questions a shot? Just be prepared for disappointment in a high percentage of candidates.